Hello, nice to have you join us on the news at 5, live from Channels Television's global headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm Dominic Iwiwa, and these are the stories and reports we'll track another moment. On a sad note, at least 8 persons have been killed in a late-night attack by gunmen in Mbwele village. The attackers reportedly stormed the community around 11 p.m. on Thursday, shooting sporadically for nearly an hour. 3 other residents were injured, while several persons are still unaccounted for. Sources say most of the victims were members of the same family. In a telephone interview, the chairman of Boko's local government area, Samuel Amalwa, confirmed the incident and expressed concern over the recurrent violence in the area. The chairman of the Community Peace Observers in Bokos says residents are angry over what they describe as the slow response of security operatives, adding that some locals are already planning protests. He also alleged that security personnel were instead deployed to protect another community believed to be linked to the attackers. Meanwhile, the police public relations officer in Plateau State, SP Alfred Alabo, has confirmed the attack, saying investigations are ongoing and efforts are being made to restore calm. The Catholic Diocese of Kotogora says no fewer than 24 people were killed in a recent attack on Debe village in Shanga local government area of Kebbi State. This figure sharply contradicts an earlier police report which placed the number of victims at just 4. Speaking in Yauri Town, the Diocese Director of Social Communications, Reverend Father Matthew Kabirat, revealed that the attack occurred on Easter Sunday, April 5th at about 5 p.m. when suspected terrorists stormed the community. Speaking on behalf of the victims, the Reverend Father says the violence cut across different faiths, including Christians, Muslims and traditional worshippers, highlighting the widespread impact of the violence.
Behind me, you see large number of women, men and children who have fled from their homes and villages as a result of insecurity. These people are from some of the villages across River Niger, most especially from villages in Kebbi State, a village called Debe that was attacked on Easter Sunday at exactly 5 p.m. And some are also from Kilmo and other villages in Kebbi State. These people are here to seek for refuge, and we have listened from some of them what exactly, how exactly rather they feel, and what exactly do they want the government to do for them. Some of them have said in Hausa, but Musan the government, meaning we do not know whether we have government. So they are calling on the government to see that there is an end, there is a long-term solution to some of these insecurity problems, bedeviling our country, Nigeria. Imagine your son is here, or your daughter is here, or your father is here, or your wife or your husband is here seeking refuge. It's actually a horrible and frustrating situation. So we are talking, we are calling on the government to see that insecurity has come to an end in our country, Nigeria.
The governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Zulum, has expressed shock over the recent attack on the 29 Task Force Brigade in Benishik in Kaga local government area of the state. Governor Zulum, who visited the brigade to commiserate with frontline troops on the killing of the brigade commander and other soldiers, described the incident as disturbing. He called on the military to review its security architecture in order to effectively address emerging threats within its areas of responsibility.
This is one of the most surprising attacks that I've witnessed in the recent times. There is a need for us to also review our security architecture because credible intelligence was received that these madmen were trying to attack this space for about 3 days. I wonder how such thing could happen. Chairman, are you aware? Anyway, I'm here to commiserate with you, especially the loss of the brigade commander. So this is not a time for joy or time to blame ourselves. But there is a need for us to review the entire security architecture and then see how we shall reinforce this particular place.
The governor also assured the troops of the state government's continued support in protecting lives and property.
I want to assure you that we shall strengthen the resilience of the army, strengthen the resilience of the community, and ensure that Benishek does not fall into the hands of Boko Haram again. I want you to redouble your effort on meeting the Sector 2 commander in Damaturu, but at your own level also, you have to review the situation, examine what has happened, do a SWOT analysis, and then report to us to see how the army and the government of Borno State will partner together to reinforce this place.
The Federal Capital Territory Commissioner of Police, Mr. Ahmed Sanusi, has conducted an extensive operational tour of Buhari Area Council and surrounding border communities as part of efforts to strengthen security and combat criminal activities in the nation's capital. During the tour, the Commissioner of Police personally led targeted operations, resulting in the interception and arrest of 3 suspected kidnappers identified as Nasiru Abdullahi, Samaila Dahiru, and Bello Usman. Preliminary investigations, according to the police, reveals that Nasiru Abdullahi and Samaila Dahiru of Kweri Village, Kaduna State, are responsible for the kidnapping of one Malam Bako from his farmland in Gushawai Village on the 8th of April 2026, after which he was taken to Kweri Forest, where a ransom of 15 million naira was demanded before his eventual rescue by operatives of the FCT Police Command Anti-Kidnapping Unit.
The need for adequate and effective security is the reason for this tour of the FCT Commissioner of Police, Mr. Ahmed Sanusi. From the command headquarters of the force in Gariki, the team heads straight to the palace of the Sarkin Buhari, Alhaji Awal Musa, where the CP paid a courtesy visit and sought traditional support for the ongoing security operations. This is followed by a stopover at the palace of the Esu Buaya, His Royal Highness Mr. Ibrahim Yaro, where the traditional ruler is informed of the team's plan to conduct comprehensive security sweep of forest within his domain, as well as suspected hideout for criminal elements. After reviewing security arrangement at Jere, a border community between the FCT and Kaduna State, a major breakthrough is recorded at Gidandogo, a border community linking Kaduna and Niger State, where 3 suspected kidnappers were apprehended.
This is an ongoing operation. Today, I decided to lead myself to this forest. This is a place in Federal Capital Territory, Buhari Area Council, boundaries between the FCT and the Niger and Kaduna State. This is a place that has been infested by bandits and some banditry activities.
The CP further briefs journalists on strategic deployment across Buhari Area Council, noting that personnel have been adequately positioned to respond swiftly to security threats and prevent attacks.
We have 4 deployments to cover Abuja and Niger. We have 6 deployments that covers Abuja, Kaduna. These are main deployments. We have the intel-led deployments.
The operational tour continued through Garam in Niger State with the on-the-spot assessment of security infrastructure before terminating at the Nigerian Law School Buhari. The police boss says it is part of a broader strategy to enhance community collaboration, disrupt criminal networks, and ensure the safety of residents across the Federal Capital Territory.
In the nation's commercial capital, the Lagos State government has taken another step towards improving the quality of education as it unveiled the Tolu Schools complex in the Ajegunle area of the state. At the event, attended by dignitaries led by the President of the Senate, Mr. Godswill Akpabio, who represented President Bola Tinubu, he said the project reflects the state's commitment to providing quality education for residents. He also said the school complex is a full reimagining of what public education should look like in a modern African city like Lagos.
Tolu Schools Complex, situated in Ajeromi, Felodun local government area of Lagos, sits on 11.73 hectares of land, housing 36 public schools, including 31 secondary and 5 primary schools in Ajegule area. The new look of the school complex has brought the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, the Minister of Education, Tunja Lausa, lawmakers from the National Assembly, among other dignitaries, to join the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to commission the rehabilitated facilities for the benefit of the students within the community. Students representing the 36 schools and other invited guests are excited to be part of the landmark project commissioning, which is along with Maracana Stadium, 19 mini football pitches and other modern facilities.
It is more than infrastructure. It is a symbol of opportunity, inclusion, and a brighter future for thousands of our children, unlocking the potential of our youth, empowering generations yet unborn, and serving as a place where dreams are nurtured and destinies shaped.
The Minister of Education applauds the state government for investing in education.
This is just not commissioning of a school. It is the unveiling of a bold statement, a declaration that Nigeria is investing decisively in the future of its children. It reflects what is possible when leadership is purposeful, intentional, and people-oriented.
For Governor Sanwo-Olu, Tolu Schools project is a 21st century infrastructure suitable for teaching and learning.
What we have built is a school for the 21st century. Mr. President, what they are commissioning is not just a facelift. It is not a cosmetic intervention. It is a fully reimagination of what public education should look like in modern African city like Lagos. We are fulfilling a covenant, a sacred promise between government and the people, that no child, regardless of where they are born, shall be denied the dignity of a world-class education.
Senator Akpabio says preparing the future leaders is paramount for continuous growth of the country.
Projects like this show what is possible when leadership is very focused and deliberate. As a nation, we must build on efforts like this by ensuring that our schools produce thinkers, problem solvers, and innovators, the people who will drive our economy forward tomorrow for the sustenance and continuous growth of our nation, Nigeria.
The regeneration drive of Tolu Schools Complex is set to improve the quality of education of students within Ajegule area of Lagos.
You're watching the news at 5 on Channels Television. Right after this break, in the world of business, tomato growers warn on price increase. That and more when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Cross River State's Governor, Basio II, has assented to 4 key bills aimed at improving healthcare services, promoting environmental hygiene, and strengthening the education system across the state. Speaking shortly after the signing ceremony at the government house in Calabar, the governor highlighted the administration's commitment to reforms that will enhance the welfare and living standards of residents. Among the new laws is the establishment of the Cross River State College of Health Sciences, Management and Technology. upgrading the former College of Health Technology into a more advanced institution with expanded academic programs. Also signed into law is the Cross River State Hospital Management Board Law 2026. In addition, Governor Otu approved the Open Defecation Prohibition Law 2026 and the Senior Secondary Education Board Law 2026 to strengthen the coordination and management of public secondary schools and position the state to access greater federal education support.
All the bills are very, very important. Some are bills that are almost compulsory just for us to align with what is the bill. And the fact that subventions to polytechnic and denied for quite some time. We needed something like that in terms of making sure that we have a variety of courses and options for our people to qualify. So we needed all these bills very seriously. And I thank God we did not waste time, because it's going to help our people and also help our people's first agenda very, very seriously. So we thank God that we were able to put in these and to actually achieve this. What is really is for us to put it into action and make sure that they are properly implemented.
A former executive secretary of the UN Economic Commission for Africa, Mr. Abdoulaye Jane, along with other African policymakers, have called for stronger measures to protect the continent's economies from the fallout of global crisis. The call was made at a policy forum on Africa and the escalation of global crisis, impacts and responses, organized by the Center for Democracy and Development in partnership with Trust Africa, a Pan-African foundation that aims to strengthen initiatives that address the continent's most difficult challenges. Mr. Jana said global conflicts represent a breakdown of international order and have direct consequences for African countries that are not parties to such wars.
Vice President Shettima receives the delegation from the United Nations, led by its Assistant Secretary General on Youth Affairs, Mr. Felipe Polia, in the conference hall of his office at the State House, Abuja. This meeting is on strengthening the partnership between Nigeria and the United Nations on women and youth empowerment, which the Vice President notes is essential to the realization of President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda.
Our young people's stance is a reservoir of ingenuity, energy, and renewal for a world in search of capacity. So be rest assured that Nigeria is poised to really fill in that gap, and the evidence is already before us. Of the 9 or 10 unicorns in Africa, 7 are in Nigeria. So the anticipated demographic bulge, Your Excellency, I want to assure you, will be transformed into demographic dividends. The issue of gender participation is receiving top-level attention. The President believes in gender parity, in gender empowerment and gender equality.
Vice President Shettima also proposed the creation of institutional mechanisms to midwife the advancement of Nigeria's objectives for youth and women, working in collaboration with the United Nations and other partners. The UN Assistant Secretary General on Youth Affairs, Mr. Felipe Polia, assures of supporting the federal government's development vision in addition to the multi-level support provided by UN agencies in Nigeria.
What I found in this meeting is a leader that really understands that this is a critical topic, a president that has put this at the center of development in the country. Of course, with many still challenges in terms of access to education, jobs, but on the right direction of trying to achieve this. And the most important commitment here is that the UN in Nigeria is here to support the country and the government on that direction. People, the ones that know what Nigeria needs are the people of Nigeria.
And on business news, the Tomato Growers and Processors Association of Nigeria is predicting a steady increase in the price of the produce between May and June 2026. The Kaduna State Chairman of Topan, Rabiu Zuntu, disclosed this in an interview on Friday in Lagos. Mr. Zuntu noted that although there is no particular time for the tomato planting season up north, seasonal weather variations can affect its production. The Trade Union Congress, TUC of Nigeria, has proposed that the federal government deploy at least 60% of excess crude oil revenue above the budget benchmark to subsidize feedstock for local refiners, including the Dangote refinery. The Labour Centre believes that such urgent measures remains necessary to reduce soaring fuel prices and ease economic hardship on Nigerian workers. He urged that redirecting a significant portion of this surplus into subsidizing crude supply for domestic refining would reduce production costs and translate quickly into lower pump prices for petrol, diesel and aviation fuel. Oil prices edged higher on Friday, extending modest gains from the previous session as investors weighed persistent supply risks from the Middle East ahead of U.S.-Iran talks this weekend. Brent oil futures rose 1.0% to close at $96.83 per barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures also gained 0.9% to close at $98.78 per barrel. Both contracts settled higher on Thursday after powering some gains, but were still set for more than 10% weekly losses. Now, gold edged up to $4,780 per ounce on Friday, heading for a third straight weekly gain, buoyed by a weaker dollar and investor focus on U.S.-Iran diplomatic talks in Islamabad this weekend. The metal gained 2% this week as expectations of earlier U.S. rate cuts boosted non-yielding assets, while a two-week ceasefire eased oil prices and inflation concerns. However, the fragile truce showed signs of strain on Friday as Israeli strikes on Lebanon and ongoing disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz threatened to complicate negotiations. Meanwhile, the latest U.S. CPI report, the first since the conflict began, revealed inflation climbed to 3.3%, the highest since May 2024, with the monthly index surging 0.9%, the steepest rise since mid-2022. Markets now price in a 30% chance of at least a 25 basis points rate cut in December. And I said on the news at 5, I'm Dominic Iwiwu. Up next is The World Today.